So you're at the crossroads. As a reality shifter, how do you navigate this crux of a decision that will change the manifestation course of potentially the rest of your life? Do you sign? Do you not sign? Do you pursue with that person? Do you not? Do you lock it down? Do you not? Do you go to that program? Or do you explore something else entirely? You see, when we are reality shifting, at some point we will have two potentials, two options, sometimes more. And we need to be able to feel it out in advance. The best time to do this is actually when you get a glimpse of what one potential has for you. And this is like going on a date with a reality layer. You sort of feel it out. Who's there? What are the vibes? What are the opportunities that are manifesting? And then you explore another one. How does it feel? You compare, you contrast. This is a normal part of exploring options. And now let's take it a step further and say, how do you actually navigate to your highest potential when you have two options side by side that feel good, that look great on paper? The key to doing this is, well, I was going to say to not rush the decision, but there are some of you that fall prey to analysis paralysis, and I don't want to encourage that, because what can happen is that when you don't make a decision, you lose both options. You don't always, but not making a decision is actually still making a decision. And so you want to strike the balance between sitting with it and feeling it and waiting versus deciding and pursuing. Now, if you are a manifesting generator, I'm not a really big fan of the human design. I just think that something's missing. I don't know why I feel that way, but I like it kind of as a template for understanding how you decide and make choices. And so I happen to be a manifesting generator, so I can speak on this, but I encourage you to look up your own human design and understand your best approach in making decisions, because this is where it is very, very helpful, I find. As a manifesting generator, what I find is actually taking a couple steps into the reality layer and then a couple steps out and feeling it in my chakra system. Particularly for me, it is in my sacral chakra. And so when I feel that light up, then I know I'm going in the right direction. My solar plexus too, and my heart chakra. But what I have come to learn is that when you are deciding between a couple of different potentials, when you are really in alignment, it is like clicking the hand on a clock, on an old school analog clock, and you're slowly getting to 12, right? And everything from, 11:55 to 12 is going to light you up. That's what I've seen. That's what I've observed. And it's like when you get really close to your highest potential, the 11:55 option is going to feel good. And then the 11:56 option is going to hit your chakras as well. And then right after that, you might also have the 11:57. So how do you discern which one? How do you piece out where you're going in the long run if everything is sort of like zinging you, right? And if you are getting into the vibration of purpose? Well, first of all, let's pause that analogy right there and back up a second and say, does the decision light you up in some way? regardless of whatever your human design is. And the point of that was saying that for a manifesting generator, it's important to feel it out by going in that direction and then pausing and turning around, or just pausing and waiting. But you actually have to kind of do it. You have to agree on it, and you have to start making decisions before you get that feedback in your chakra system. Otherwise, you're just in your head and you're just analyzing it, right? At least if you're really headbound. Sometimes people are in their heart. Other times people are in their body. Like, we primarily have a archetypal template that we rely on. And what we want to do is we want to honor that and say thank you, but we want to expand it and bring it further online. And so whatever your modality is, if you're stuck in your head, then we want to take that not away. We don't want to minimize it. It's one piece of the puzzle. We don't want to use it as a crutch. So we want to say, are you lit up in a different way? Are you excited? What does excitement look like for you? Are you like just bursting at the seams trying to talk to people about it? Or are you kind of hiding it? Do you feel a little embarrassed? Do you feel a little ashamed, right? So when we get into the negative vibrations, we start to get into the unconscious and the subconscious. And this is part of making the unconscious conscious, because what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're not tricking ourselves, right, at the crossroads, because we think that we should be in love with an idea, or we should be in love with a person more, and that if we just go that direction, everything's going to fall into place. We want to actually really center in, and I could do a meditation on this if you would like that. Just let me know in the comments. I can do a guided meditation and post it as sort of an extra this next couple of weeks if you'd like. And so we want to tune in to how you really, really feel about it. And we want to let whatever our system that usually helps us make decisions, we want to let that go first, right? And then we want to connect with our other systems. So we want to connect with our heart, our emotions. We want to connect with our body. Like, do you have a sinking feeling? Do you have like a fired up, energized feeling? And then we want to check our chakras. Do you feel empowered in your throat chakra, where you're ready to go? You're ready to speak. Yes, you might feel a little scared, right? If you go in that direction, and that's part of stretching yourself. If you're not a little bit scared, then you're not pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. And so fear is okay and nervousness is okay. But we also want to look for excitement and enthusiasm and full body yes, a full resonance, right? That's going to get us closer to our highest timelines. Now, if you are dead in the water and you're not really feeling it, then I say that perhaps it is a stepping stone to get to where you're ultimately going to be lit up. Like, you want to feel the vibration of appreciation for life, right? And when you're at the crossroads, there are going to be decisions that are going to impact your essence of a being, your physical form, your energetic form, your mental form, all of the packages of the components of you, right? Your entire system and structure is going to be influenced by this idea. And so by visualizing it, tuning in, writing down if you want, go into meditation, visualize it coming into fruition. You can port your consciousness into a timeline and sort of preview the future. That's a technique that I use. You can use clairvoyance. You can use divination tools like tarot, although it's a little bit different than what I'm recommending right now. I'm recommending that you actually go within and that you really feel out a potential. And what you find is that if you're completely dead in the water, then nothing is really going to light up for you. It's going to be like, okay, well, I could do this or I could do that. It's like I could get a hammer or I could get a nail to accomplish this task. Oh, I need both. Okay. All right, great. You see how that's just kind of like, yeah, okay, yeah, right. But you can spend a lot of anxiety thinking about it because it can feel like a really big decision, right? But that's a really important indicator if you're all in the head and it's all logic. It's all pros and cons. Let me make a list, okay? And there's this upside and that upside. Okay. What you want to do is you want to actually feel the experience. You want to walk through the halls of wherever the new place is going to be, energetically, with your consciousness, with the power of your mind, and feel the environment around there. Feel the energy of the place, right? And what you'll find is that you're going to have a feedback response. It might take you some practice, right? Especially if you're not a strong meditator, because this is a meditation technique. It's a quantum meditation technique where you're tapping into other timelines and you're experiencing it. It's sort of similar to remote viewing, but remote viewing is actually a different experience. It's more like you're immersed there. And when I've had remote viewing, it was very abrupt and it was just like a flash and a very quick download, and I was there in the moment. Whereas what I'm talking about is sort of like your awareness stays with your body in the present environment that you have, and you're just extending it across the space-time continuum to go and take a little peek at where you're interested in going, right? What it feels like. But you have to be careful because remember that timelines always change, and it's just like one data point. So you don't want to over rely on one data point. You want to look for several data points, and you can keep checking in on it too, because places change. You might not get to the right decision point that will get you to where you ported your consciousness, but it is a technique that you can use to sort of get a sneak peek. And so then you want to feel what information comes back to you in your body or in your chakra system. Or sometimes it'll come to you with this distinct no, like don't come here. And I talk about that in Quantum Breadcrumbs. And so what you want to do is you want to utilize the fact that we live in a multiverse, that you are a reality shifter, that you do have access to other timelines, and you want to level yourself up and experiment with your abilities by getting sneak peeks into what the end result is of a particular potential when you're at the early point at the crossroads. And then you want to compare that with the other option that you have. And you want to see how it feels beyond just your normal modalities of how you decide. And another important thing is to pay attention to your dreams and your subconscious, because you as a multi-dimensional being will have timelines where you've experienced that before, you know, where you've actually gone through the, I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to, I was going to say the training sim. Like, there will be a version of you that has already gone through it, right? And so you can selectively connect with that version of you that has already experienced it, zooming above the timeline that you're in. You can do a quick meditation before you go to bed. You can set your intent to talk to your subconscious. And so when you lose consciousness as you fall asleep, you can make a point to connect with another version of you that has already lived that solution or that timeline. And then you can ask for them to send you a picture of what it feels like in your dreams. And then when you wake up, the first thing you want to do, and I highly recommend this, is that when you have an important dream download, is to write it down or to record it somehow. Draw a picture of it. Just write a couple of words. I like to use an app for this, and trust me, it's like you'll think you'll remember it, but you actually don't. Like, there's something about those memories that you have to capture them as early as you can, because even if you just wait a couple of hours, they just get fuzzier and fuzzier, if not completely disappear. And so by capturing them as soon as you wake up, you can actually capture the experience, capture as much detail and information as possible. And then that is what solidifies the knowing and solidifies the understanding. I've been doing this for several years now. And when you capture it like that, then it pulls it into almost like the episodic memory, which is stronger and more robust and allows you to anchor in to that as a potential more readily than if you're like just letting the information pass through you. And so it's like taking the information and taking a snapshot of it, crystallizes it in your own mind, which then allows you to anchor into that memory of the dream as a potential for where you want to navigate to. Does that make sense? It's like it fills in something on a map that better enhances your ability to navigate to it. So it's less about just capturing the dream and more about neurohacking your mind to allow you to navigate to where that potential is if you want to. Like, for example, after my ayahuasca ceremony, my first ayahuasca ceremony in Costa Rica, I had a lot of profound dreams, and I didn't record all of them, but I recorded one that I received guidance that I was from Andromeda, and I didn't know that that was a galaxy. I didn't know that that was a thing. At the time, it's not something that I had in my mind, and that I had a lineage from Andromeda that I was getting to. And I looked it up after the dream and saw that it was a real place. And I was like, oh, cool. And I do have starseed affiliations. It's just a framework for how to think about certain things and like the origin of our consciousness and our sentience can actually be in a variety of different galaxies, right? And especially when we're working with some of these transcending space and time concepts, we tap into support systems that have already been established that are set up for us, right? And so we collectively have agreed to call this being a starseed at this space and time point, but that is really just kind of an arbitrary delineation to say that we have affiliations beyond this space and time point and help and assistance. And we can utilize that. And they have different names and affiliations. And so I received information that Andromeda was one of those affiliations for me. But here's the cool thing, right? The cool thing was that I had perceived that I had been going through space and time as a reality shifter and quantum traveling by that point. And even in my ayahuasca ceremony, and I haven't published this online, but I had the experience of doing a pretty wild quantum shift where source energy put me back to a place that I was trying to get away from. And I was like, why are you putting me back here? Anyway, so that's this whole other thing. And what was fascinating to me is that I received this download that I was 5 galaxies away from Andromeda. And that I originally, when I started, but now I was, like closer. Anyway, the details are not so important, but so it gave me an understanding of where I was navigating to, which recently came back to me, actually tonight in a meditation, that I was even closer than several years ago. So what's fascinating is that by crystallizing that memory, it created this waypoint, almost like GPS navigation. It created a waypoint for me and a conceptualization for where I was going that was beyond what my mind could create at that time. And so you can utilize this technique to figure out where you're going, where your highest path is, by communing with your starseed family, your guides, if you have that, or another version of you that has already experienced that timeline. It's really fun how everything is connected, right? And so you can utilize the fact that you are a transcendental being and tap into the quantum field to help you decide in your material life, where am I going? How do I feel? How does this potential shape up under these conditions? And you see how that pulls you out of just the mind and out of just logic. And you want to look at the whole picture of how your vibrational essence feels. Does it tickle you vibrationally? Does it give you sort of like a gut punch? Like maybe you don't want to go there, right? Maybe you don't want to go left. Maybe you want to go right. Does it feel energetically dead? Some places feel inert to me. And when you're in energetically inert places, it's actually really hard to manifest. So you want to feel out, does the vibration of that potential have life in it? Does it have other people that you can commune with, that you can create with, that you can bounce ideas back and forth? Or are you the only creator there? And are you going to be around a lot of zombies that are like, life, la, like they're going to suck everything out of you? You have to like really think about all of the spectrum of possibilities which exist. And so it's just a small way of how you can deal with being at a crossroads. But I hope this has been helpful. And if you are interested in one-on-one reality shifting coaching, that is what I do. I love it. And I love working with your multidimensional self and connecting you with your higher timelines. If you feel the call, you'll know. Feel free to reach out to me at sacredjourneyproductions@gmail.com. Okay, we'll talk soon.